Welcome to the Ask Faleskini Podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present David Fullmer. David, welcome to our show. Please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Aloha, Peter. How you doing, brother?
I'm really excited to talk with you and to get to know you a bit more in the details. And I'm really thrilled that you're on our show today.
Yeah, just a quick rundown on me. Business owner, entrepreneur, built various different businesses in different marketplaces, completely from a t-shirt brand to mortgage company, real estate developing, did a lot of various different things, but kind of my staple's been construction since I was 14 years old.
Mhm.
Um, and Went through it as a young kid. I was in youth corrections custody, which means I was locked up various different times throughout my teenage years. Kind of taken from my family, got into a bunch of trouble, and realizing I didn't want that in life, I made some course corrections, and then from there built a successful masonry business and was a multimillionaire by the time I was 28 years old. Ended up losing everything when the economy crashed in 2008, and just been building since then. And a near miss of losing everything again in 2016, but I was able to pull out and make a success out of it. It was great, but basically through my life experiences, I came to realize and was gifted, which I believe from the heavens above, my friend, what I called the superhuman rhythm. And I've always been into personal development, but what I did was is I realized that there were always four steps to this and five steps to that, and no one really gave a really good pathway to attach everyday life with all these attributes and with all these principles that taught people to truly be superhuman. So what I did is I figured out that the human experience has a certain vibration on each day of the week, and it's our vibration which is our flow. And when we're in a positive vibration and we're moving, and our all of the whole of our body is moving in sync with itself, we get things done faster, we overcome obstacles better, we are able to see into the future brighter. And so what I did was is I realized that if we attach seven superhuman attributes to each day of the week, and these attributes actually coincide with the human experience, things that people are already going through on these each day of the week. And so I attached a superhuman attribute to each day of the week so you can't forget it. And it's so ingrained into your body that it just creates an amazing rhythm. It keeps you your intention correct, and it keeps you kind of on the path that you need to be, so you're getting less derailed and out into the woods.
Amazing. Can you tell us a bit more about these superhuman attributes so that if you can list them and that we would understand?
Okay,
Well,
so I'll go through them pretty quick here. So more people have heart attacks on Monday morning than any other day of the week. Why is that, Peter? And the reason is because they don't have their why figured out. They don't know why they're on the planet Earth and what they're doing and where they're going, right?
mhm.
And who they are. So it's the who, what, where, when, why. They don't have their who, what, when, where, why. And so they kill over of a heart attack because they're lost. And so that's Motivation Monday. It's a day that we figure out our who, what, when, where, why. Okay, it's when we figure out who we are, where we're going, why we're doing it, when we're going to execute, and all those different things. And so that's Motivation Monday. Every Monday's that day,
Mhm.
and it combats the heart attack, and it combats the stress in our lives. Tuesday, great day. It's called Tracking Tuesday. It's a day of the avatar, meaning we step out of ourselves and we recognize what are our thoughts, How am I acting? And kind of, God gave us two eyes and two ears and one mouth. So it's a day that we listen more. We watch ourselves. We watch the behavior of others, and kind of take an accounting of how we're showing up in the world. Okay, the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of them are negative.
Mhm.
So we need to figure out how we can combat those negative thoughts, and it's all in my book on how you get that done. Moving on to Wednesday, great day. Okay, what's today? Today's Whisper Wednesday, Peter.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is a day of intuition. If you were to interview first responders, doctors, airline pilots, people that have the responsibility to make sure people are safe and alive, okay, they have a heightened state of intuition. If you were to ask and interview any of them, hey, have you ever made a decision where you just had a hunch and it saved lives? I can tell you there will, you just get out the popcorn and sit back, because you're going to have a lot of stories. But what about the everyday person? Do you get into an organic environment? I'm going on a walk here on the beach. See,
Mhm.
I'm on this beautiful beach right now, and I'm in an organic environment. It's Whisper Wednesday. And so turn social media off, and it's a no social media day. It's a no news day. And you just listen to the quiet. Too many of us live in such a fast paced electronical world that we don't go back to our blood memories and our ancestors. They spent time in a quiet space. And it's so important that we get into a quiet space where there's just nothing. It's just quiet. Maybe the breeze through the trees or the birds chirping, just somewhere organic and quiet for hours, and meditate and just listen to absolutely nothing but our intuition and our inspiration. Okay? That's Whisper Wednesday. Thursday is Thankful Thursday. It's a day of gratitude. Okay. An army of lions led by a sheep will always be defeated by an army of sheep led by a lion. And
Mhm.
the answer to that dichotomy is attitude. And an attitude of gratitude is the best thing that you can have to overcome the challenges in your life and to really excel and move forward and get through obstacles. An attitude of gratitude is the best attitude that you can have in all the attributes of having attitudes. Okay. Now you have a little bit up of dopamine. What was Friday? Friday's a day that you used to get $1 after elementary school and get an ice cream cone at the end of school, and everyone's excited. When do we get bad news, Peter? Friday. When do people get fired, Peter? Friday. Okay.
Mhm.
Why? Because everyone has a high state of dopamine on Friday.
Mhm.
That's when the worst news in the world always gets dropped on Friday, and everything that, because people can deal with it because they're like, you know what, I'm going into the weekend. I don't care. I don't want to hear the bad news, blah, 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 blah. Well, this is one of the hardest superhuman attributes, and it's forgiveness. It's Forgiveness Friday. Okay. I live here in Hawaii, and a plane to the mainland and a plane back, there's an hour difference, but it's the same plane, same pilot, same fuel, same distance. Why is it an hour difference? It's because the stress on the plane. And so the stress that holding on to things leaves inside of your body slows you down.
Mhm.
That's it. And forgiveness is not for the person you're forgiving, it's the gift you give to yourself. Okay. Forgiveness is the gift that you give to yourself. Okay. And moving on to Saturday, because you know the next day, Peter, you already know half of this, right? You know Saturday comes after Friday, right, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that 2,000 year blood memory in you. I understand. So Saturday is Satisfaction Saturday, okay? And it's making sure we're having fun with the ones that we love. No one on their deathbed wishes they had more money or spend another day at the office, okay?
Mhm.
What's the same rhyme that they all say? There's so many people. Oh man, there's two types of people. They're either surrounded in their hospital room by all the wonderful memories and and with all the ones that they love surrounding them, and they're so enthralled and just happy with life and so grateful to be there with their loved ones. And there's others that are empty. They're empty inside because they spent their whole life chasing something they could never have. And so Satisfaction Saturday is a way to check ourselves and make sure we're not just obtaining the riches of these world for ourselves, because nothing owned is worth having that's not shared.
Mhm.
And so it's not FU money, Peter. It's called love you money. And we make money so that we can have moments. So when I'm on that hospital bed and I'm old and old and old and a lot more gray than I am now, I have memories. And that's Satisfaction Saturday. Okay? Moving on. What's the next day, Peter, after Saturday?
Sunday usually.
Okay, Sunday. See? You know half this. So Sunday is a real cool one. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So I've been training for years and years and years, 15 years. And I can tell you right now, if you were to ask me, Dave, what's the number one thing you learned from jiu-jitsu? And I wouldn't tell you it's that I can arm lock you and make you dance. It would be that I learned humility. Peter, I have tapped out to someone else's will thousands and thousands of times, where I've either I could either make a choice. I'm either going to get my arm broken or I can tap. I'm either going to go to sleep or I can tap. I'm going to lose my knee or I can tap. Okay. So in life, sometimes our journey, we try to do it all ourselves, but we can't. And so this is Supplication Sunday, where we supplicate to a higher power. And that is Supplication Sunday, where we tap out to life's problems. We tap out and recognize that we can't do this without God in our lives. We can't do this without a greater force of nature, someone who waited millions and gazillions of light years to bring us to this earth at this very moment in time to be great. We're not going to talk to him, the designer of our bodies, the creator of the world. I don't think so. It's time we tap out. I'm going to tap right now and say, I'm going to tap out to a higher power and I'm going to supplicate. So, Supplication Sunday. And those are your 7 days, buddy. You're in rhythm now, Peter. I hope you
Thank
got
you.
your vitamins, buddy. I hope you got your vitamins in you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great insight, and I like it how you put the how important is the synchronicity, and I like it how you put that to days in a week, so that every day is um, is dedicated to something. Um, it's quite similar to my 12-month process, where every month is dedicated to something similar in my system. But I really like the idea to have it in packed in 1 week, so that it
The
doesn't.
power of repetition.
Yeah, it and it's important that we dedicate each day to something, and I really like your concept. So how should people apply that?
Well, I mean, the easiest way is to buy the book, read the
Mhm.
book, and it really outlines it. My Instagram handle is David Fullmer Official. David Fullmer Official is my Instagram handle, or you can go to davidfullmer.com and I can give you a free digital copy. You know, any of your listeners, if they go on there and just say, I was on Peter's show and message the team, they'll send them a free digital copy if they're one of your listeners. And but the biggest thing is to start on Monday morning and whiteboard your life. You know, tune out the noise. Stop listening to everybody else. You have the answer. It's within you. Greatness is within you. Okay. Happiness and joy is a choice and it's within you. And to really whiteboard your life and dream big. You know, the average person has been told 10,000 times when they were a little kid, don't do that. Stop that. Don't touch that. No. Now, you might have been grabbing candy, Peter. You might have been running in the street, but that's a brain track.
Mhm.
And a child can't distinguish between right and wrong, can't distinguish between reality and non-reality. What's the biggest problem with human beings and adults? Okay, is we have a skewed sense of reality. The reality is life is what you make it. The reality is life is a canvas. You have to paint your life. That's the problem. And so my quote is, the only reality is the one that I create. And the greatest reality I can create is one that impacts humanity, because joy is found in helping others. Okay. And that's the biggest thing, is we have all these adults running around the world. And when they were kids, they dreamed big and their parents told them no. They dreamed big and they said, stop doing that. So now they have these great ideas and these dreams, and they're like, they pop up for a second and then they just smash them with these brain tracks of no, can't, no, no. And so the biggest way someone can start out is really getting the whiteboard out. And if you had the most perfect life, would it look like? Right? When you go and say, I want to climb Everest, when Peter wakes up and says, you know what, I'm going to climb Mount Everest. Okay. You don't just end up in Everest the next week. You start walking. You start walking. You start doing marathons. Then you start a little hike, then a little bit bigger hike, then a little bit bigger hike. And then as you go, you learn through asking other people, and along the way and along the trail, asking other successful hikers, and they give you insight and you start moving. The way is the way. Everyone's like, well, what way do I go? Well, you just start. And as you go, it manifests itself to you, but you'll never see it. You know, guys climb Everest and they can look through binoculars how they're going to traverse across a big giant cavern crevasse. But when they get there, they realize, oh my gosh, from so far away, we couldn't see. We've got to go another way. And so the way manifests itself when we get on the path. And so I always say, you know, even if it's 1% better, Peter, just get started. If you can't go, if you're not totally out of shape, or you don't feel comfortable going in the gym, go to the parking lot and park in the gym and walk around the gym.
Mhm.
And then eventually go in the gym and be on the treadmill. And then once you're on the treadmill, maybe you hit the weights. And then when you're on the weights, maybe you can hit the treadmill and the weights. And you just start, just get started today.
Thank you, David. Thank you for all these insights. I will include the links to your Instagram and your webpage in the description below. And thank you for being my guest tonight.
No problem, buddy. Have a beautiful Whisper Wednesday, and shut that phone off when you're done with me on Whisper Wednesday. Peter, I want you to go for a walk in the woods and listen to the birds.
Thank you. I'll do that.
Okay, buddy. Aloha.